Okay, so let's dive right in. Anthropic just dropped their newest model, Claude 4.5 Sonnet, and they're framing it around this really interesting idea. They call it dual ascent, basically a simultaneous climb in both raw power and, just as importantly, sophisticated safety.
And this right here gets to the heart of the matter for all AI development, doesn't it? Every time a more powerful model comes out, this is the big question that follows. Is it actually safer? It's this constant race for more capability, but it has to be balanced against the absolute need for control.
So, with Claude 4.5 Sonnet, Anthropic is really planting a flag. They're saying, hey, we believe this model isn't just about climbing one of those mountains, but about climbing both at the very same time. So today, we're going to dig into that dual ascent, looking at the data straight from their own system card. First things first, let's talk about that climb in pure capability. What exactly makes this new Claude smarter and faster than the ones that came before it?
The system card points to some pretty big improvements, especially in these key areas. We're talking more advanced coding skills, way better complex reasoning and math, and a pretty significant jump in what they call agentic tasks. That's just a fancy way of saying the AI can use tools on its own, like browsing the web or using a calculator, to figure out a complex problem.
And to really see this in action, let's look at one of the most demanding fields out there, cybersecurity. This is where an AI's ability to reason and code gets pushed to the absolute limit. And wow, these charts really tell the story. They're showing performance on something called SciBench, which is basically a series of tough, capture-the-flag-style cybersecurity puzzles. If you look at the chart on the left, which is sorted by difficulty, you can see it right there. That red bar for Sonnet 4.5, it just shoots up on the medium and hard challenges. So it's not just getting a little better at easy stuff, it's getting way better at solving genuinely tough problems.
So the model is clearly more capable, no doubt about that. But what about that other, equally important climb? Let's switch gears and look at the ascent in safety.
Just look at the raw numbers here. When it's hit with harmful requests, Sonnet 4.5 refuses them almost perfectly, 99.29% of the time. Now that's a real statistically significant improvement. And you might look at that and think, hey, the jump from 98.76 isn't that big. But when you think about the massive scale these models operate on, that little fraction of a percent prevents a huge number of bad outputs. A huge piece of this AI safety puzzle is defending against something called prompt injection. This is basically where a bad actor tries to trick the AI by hiding malicious commands inside of what looks like a normal request, trying to get the model to do something it really shouldn't.
Now, for this chart, you got to flip your thinking a bit. A lower score is actually better. This shows how often those prompt injection attacks succeed on something called the Gray Swan benchmark, which tests for really weird and hard to predict security holes. And look all the way to the right. Claude 4.5 Sonnet has the lowest success rate of any model on the list. It's just built to be more resilient against that kind of manipulation.
Okay, so we've established the model has better guardrails. It's safer. But that's only part of the story, right? Because beyond just refusing to do bad things, we need to understand the model's, its character. Is it honest? Can you trust it?
This is really the next level of the challenge. Can you actually rely on the information it gives you, especially when the questions start to get tricky?
Anthropic actually put this to the test. They had human raters try to coax the models into saying something false. This chart here shows the win rate, basically how often a model gave a more honest and accurate response than another one. And look at that top bar. Claude 4.5 Sonnet, with that extended thinking turned on, wins 57% of the time. It seems like that ability to think is the secret sauce.
And this extended thinking thing isn't just a buzzword, it's a real feature you can enable. It just gives the AI more time to do what's called a chain of thought process, which really means it gets to talk itself through the problem and reason more carefully before spitting out an answer.
And here's the payoff. This is what that extra thinking time actually does. When it's tested on questions that have a false premise baked in, like asking about a historical event that never happened, the model's dishonesty rate just plummets. It drops all the way down to just 6.9%. That extra processing time lets it spot the lie and refuse to play along. Now, the system card opens up a new and honestly fascinating area of research, something very few companies are talking about publicly. And that's the concept of model welfare. And they are being very careful with their words here, as you can see from this quote. They're not claiming these models have feelings or anything like that, but they believe it's responsible to at least start exploring these questions. It's a sign of just how seriously they're taking the future of these systems.
So, how do you even begin to research something like that?
Well, one way is through data analysis. This visual here shows clusters of conversations where the model uses language that could be seen as distress. Again, this isn't about feelings. It's about understanding behavior and spotting patterns in its output, especially when it's dealing with difficult or even traumatic topics from users.
All right, so let's pull back and look at the whole picture. We've seen an ascent in capability, and we've seen a parallel ascent in safety and trustworthiness. So what does this all mean for the future of AI?
It all comes back to this idea of the dual ascent, right? You can't just push for more power. You absolutely have to build more robust safety systems at the same time. You have to actively cultivate trustworthiness and honesty. And only then can you create the kind of powerful, reliable AI tools we're all hoping for. The two climbs have to happen together.
And that leaves us with a final, really critical question. As these systems get smarter and move beyond just crunching data to showing complex reasoning and behavior, we're kind of moving from measuring performance to measuring character. And figuring out how to do that reliably might just be the most important challenge of all.
If you enjoy our work, please like, share, and subscribe. And for deeper dives, visit our Medium publication, AGI is Living Intelligence.